And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And my God, what an amazing week for gaming. We have Sea of Thieves breaking news. We have Halo news coming. We also have the Game Awards Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. And we're not even through the week yet. I mean, holy cow. Obviously, if you've been keeping your ear to the floor and if you're into gaming, you should be. The Game Awards are happening this Thursday. And Jeff Keighley did a sit down, kind of ask him anything. And we have learned that there are going to be a lot of new IP dropping in regards to the quote unquote world premieres, as we know that they have pulled from the tapes. No more world premieres, but listen, I'm very excited. I know a lot of people are down on Jeff, especially if you're an Xbox fan, with how a lot of the IPs that we thought were gonna hit big actually didn't. But you know something, apparently Xbox is gonna be there and they're bringing some wares, folks. What those wares are, well, we're gonna have to learn and find out on Thursday. But we have an amazing show for you here today. But more importantly, even before that, we have someone making their absolute amazing debut. I actually found him on the socials talking about the quote unquote Xbox tax and how he sees it. He has a fresh perspective and a really, really stout opinion on why this continues. Let's welcome in Fly Guy GBG. What's going on, brother? Welcome to the program. Glad to have you. Uh-oh, you muted, brother.
I am muted. Yes,
there you go.
I am. I try to be respectful of people. But yeah, how you guys doing? Again, my name is Fly Guy GBG. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Well, listen, man, it's great to have you here. We're going to bring you in, and we're going to actually go to you first regarding why you decided to make these videos. You put them on Twitter, X, if you want to call it that, and they were pretty good, man. They broke it down as to what happened with Destin Legary and some of the other things we're gonna get into. And again, folks, we're not going to spend an hour talking about Destin. What happened is what happened. But a good friend of the program, great friend of the community, the Black Viking. Not only did he put out an amazing tweet looking at how IGN continues to not give Xbox their flowers, even when they're wrong, even when they are proven wrong. They find a way to use negativity for an advancement of engagement. It's actually quite disgusting, and we'll break that down. And speaking of the Black Viking, please go follow that man, because this, I think it's the 5th, which would be tomorrow. He is launching his own podcast. I'll drop his link in there so you can go and sub his channel. The first show goes live tomorrow. We'll get more details, and I'll share that with you later on. But let's welcome in Web Dave. Web Dave, obviously, you are a big part of this show and Breakfast with Boom on Friday mornings. You had one heck of a dad last night with your guests, and as expected, well, it was a little off the rails. How you feeling, brother? Welcome.
Feeling good. A little tired, but yeah. Last night I did have TTS. That's right, Sean and Dirt Griggity on the show, and it was as expected. A very fun time was had by all. Yeah. I definitely suggest you watch the replay. It was good, and some reason Dirt had to do a lot of sniping in the in the chat, huh? from a few ponies that came in, and boy, were they just they had that cut and paste down quick. That's all I'm saying.
Well, listen, Dirt. I mean, listen. If you don't know who Dirt Griggity is, you folks, I'm here to tell you, you're doing it all wrong. One of the best segments in the business, known as the POS of the week.
Yep,
one of my favorite segments. And Dirt's a good dude, and listen, he wears it on his sleeve. He's an Xbox guy, and that's perfectly fine. Yep. And he's not afraid to talk about it. And his channel is dedicated to celebrating Xbox and cutting everyone else's legs off. And you know what? If you don't like it, then don't listen. I don't know what to tell you. Fussy Belvedere, our best driver in the business. And obviously, you saw this weekend I was hanging out with my nephew Tyler, and he was getting down with one of your favorite games of the year, and that is Gran Turismo 7. Actually, his first time he played it, he came in fourth. Not bad.
Nice.
Came in second in his second race. How you doing, man? Welcome back.
Oh, I'm doing great. Glad to be here. Glad we have a special guest on here today as well. Loved your segment on the Xbox tax, but I'm pretty sure we'll get into it. But man, oh man, just this week is really building up, and you know, GTA tomorrow, the trailer everybody's been waiting for probably about 10 years it feels, and then we got the Game Awards where Xbox is gonna definitely show up, even though they may not get all the awards, but they're going to have some stuff to show us. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to this show today. So let's do this.
Well, listen, we're glad to have you here, brother. And we're going to get into, yes, we're opening up with last week. The running narrative, Fly Guy, was that Xbox was going third party. And we knew just from the nature of it, it was a load of BS, right? We knew they weren't going third party. This comes the way of Tim Stewart, CFO of Xbox. He had made some commentary that made the way of the public knowledge, where he was talking to investors, where he said that he wanted to bring Xbox to anything that had a screen, which suggests that they were eventually going to put Xbox Game Pass on to, of course, PlayStation Network and Nintendo Switch. Very quickly, Phil Spencer sat down with Jez Corden, great friend of this program, amazing creator and journalist, one half of the Xbox 2 podcast with Randall Thor, another good friend of mine, to have an amazing interview, which I actually have ready to go in front of me. And it really did immediately quash the whole third party thing. And the title of the article, which again written by Jez Corden, was published 3 days ago. He says, and I quote from Phil Spencer, "We have no plans to bring Xbox Game Pass to PlayStation or Nintendo." And he continues, Xbox CEO Phil Spencer on console hardware, the future of Activision Blizzard, and more. Now, there was one particular part that, of course, I'm a big nerd, folks, and I'm not ashamed to talk about it. The words Banjo Kazooie were made in that conversation. And folks, I'm here to tell you that when I met Phil Spencer last year, you asked me, what did you talk about? Well, I can't specifically say, but I had an opportunity, and I could have said anything. I could have asked for any game in the Xbox catalog, and I didn't, folks. And I mentioned Banjo Kazooie to the CEO of Microsoft Gaming. That is all I will say. And I will say that after meeting Phil Spencer, and I've said this before, folks, he is as cool as the other side of the pillow. That dude is who you thought he was, an absolute gentleman, one of the most welcoming CEOs I've personally ever met, and I've met quite a few in my career. Absolute gentleman. And yeah, I did ask for Banjo Kazooie. I shot my shot, if you will. But listen, Fly Guy, I want to bring you in because you had a lot to say specifically on this quote unquote Xbox tax. Now, I want to bring in the Black Viking once again because he put out a tweet and it's pretty good. Now, IGN did two stories. The first story, of course, because they are used to being negative. That's just what they do, right? That's what they do. Now, hold on a second, I just lost it. Okay, so the two articles from IGN. The first one said this in a tweet. Once again, Xbox has expressed its desire to get Game Pass subscription service and first-party games on PlayStation and Nintendo, as well as other platforms. And of course, that was the before Phil Spencer interview. Now, of course, Tim Stewart, CFO, he was talking to investors, obviously people that are going to invest in the business. And the point that Tim was trying to make was, yes, they do want to get Xbox Game Pass on every screen possible. He might have overstepped with the whole PlayStation and Nintendo thing, But very quickly, like I said in the opening, Fly Guy, Phil Spencer responded as you would expect a CEO to do. And the next article is actually after Phil Spencer said what I said in the opening, and that they have no plans to bring Xbox Game Pass or any of their first party games to PlayStation or Nintendo, right? So here is the second article. And this is where we start wondering, when is IGN ever going to admit they're wrong? The question is, or should I say the answer is, probably never. Because the following article, after the bombastic interview with Jez Corden and Phil Spencer, they have a follow-up tweet which happened 10 hours after the first one, and it simply says this: in an extensive interview with Windows Central, Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer spoke on a variety of topics, including one area players have been asking for some improvements, and that is Xbox achievements. Like, I read that article twice, Fly Guy, and I gotta be honest with you, there was a lot more tantalizing information in there than achievements. This is what we are talking about. They don't seem to play fair. Let's get your hot take on this, man, and why we brought you in and what you had to say originally on Twitter.
Yeah. So what? IGN. I don't even know what to say to that, because it's weird. It's weird energy, because one, they go ahead and start off with negativity. Okay, whatever. But then when Phil Spencer corrects that negativity, they don't put out another article stating, hey, no, this is exactly what's going on. The CEO is saying that they're not going third party, but they might bring games like Call of Duty to PlayStation. That's a whole different topic that they could have gone with, but instead they want to bring up achievements. So it's like anything that paints Xbox in positive light just goes over there. They don't want to do that. They never want to do that. And I genuinely don't get that. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people say, well, this is the same thing that happened in the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 era. And just like Xbox, that was PlayStation's fault. That was nobody else's fault, right? But now Xbox is doing great, right? They're doing everything that they need to do. They're building a future that's going to probably, hopefully, be where we don't have to pay $70 a game. But nobody wants to talk about the positive in that. Everything is negative. I don't get that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I did a tweet, and I'm trying to find it because it's relevant to exactly what you're saying. So let me just okay. So now I actually responded to what the Black Viking said, and I said this, and I want to get your hot take on this. I said the consistent backhanded compliments do IGN and their writers no favors. I'm not the only one that sees this insult for engagement behavior. The fact that it's suggested from the gaming media / community it doesn't exist is ridiculous. And listen, we know that they are doing this for engagement. We also know, Fly Guy, that anything negative continues to be a driver for clicks and engagement for places like GameSpot and IGN and PC Mag. And listen, I know a lot of people are like, well, you're engaging with them right now. You got to listen. I'm gonna be honest with you. If this stuff continues to happen, rest assured, Double Barrel Gaming is going to cover it. I'm not going to sit quietly in the corner and just pretend it doesn't exist because other people want to do that. If the media is going to consistently go against a brand that I think that's one of my favorite brands, like sports, I'm going to respond in kind. Now, I'm not going to be disrespectful, and I'm not going to curse and act a fool, but I will put them on Front Street and have this conversation. So with that said, my go back. What are your thoughts on that, Fly Guy?
I just think I think we should all continue to voice our opinions on these topics, because PlayStation is the majority right now, right?
Yes.
So the reason they're doing these stories is because PlayStation is the majority, and anything that's going to point negative light to Xbox, these PlayStation, I'm not going to call them fanboys, whatever it is, these PlayStation people that prefer PlayStation, they're going to click on these articles and spin their narratives. So I think it's going to continue to happen because of the majority, but I don't think it should.
Right.
I don't think it should.
I agree. It's look, like I said, and I say this all the time, folks. I'm not a boob. I understand that gaming is a business. I
Hmm.
understand that companies like IGN and the aforementioned PC Mag and GameSpot and Kotaku and Giant Bomb and a lot of these websites that use anti-Xbox rhetoric for clicks. They use backhanded compliments whenever they can,
Hmm.
followed up, like you just saw, with changing the narrative instead of talking about, oh yeah, you know what, we're happy that that Xbox did clear up that they're not going there. They talk about the achievement system. It to me, it's just wacky, and it proves that they do not have Xbox in their best interest. And this is when I say that if I was the CEO even for an
Hmm.
hour, I would you know how I would punish? I would punish these websites, and I would be very open and blatant about it. If you're going to go, because my thing is this: every time that they go out and they write a negative article,
Hmm.
they're hurting your brand. And the casuals, as we know, are the majority. So there are a lot of people in this community right here, right now,
Hmm.
that think that we're the voices. We're not. We are the extreme. You can consider us the tip of the spear, but the length of the spear is the casuals. They make up
Hmm.
80+% of gaming. And when the casuals maybe they don't read every article, but if you put enough negative articles out there, it's gonna come across someone's desk and they're gonna read
Keep
it.
tweeting the same Starfield thing. Keep tweeting the same Starfield thing over and over. Like, it's
How
crazy.
many times did you see a GameSpot tweet that they gave Starfield a 7? Because I counted 23 times.
Mm.
Like, okay, we know you gave it a 7, you didn't like it. I get it. We also know on the back end, GameSpot, that your ad revenue is funded 46+% by PlayStation. What is that a coincidence? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with IGN. 46% of their ad rev is PlayStation funded. So when you see someone on a plane that's using a sat link for Tesla and they're pretending as if their PS Portal is working so great and they put it out on the socials, you kind of wonder what's happening. Well, they're selling the brand of PlayStation because they're being paid to do so. If it were me and I was the CEO for a hot minute, I would be less likely to give an interview to IGN. You know who I would give an interview to that doesn't get enough credit for the work that they do? Andy Robinson and the team over at VGC. Now, Andy does not know who I am, and that is okay, but I know who Andy is. I'm a big fan of his work, and I'm a huge fan of VGC. They deserve a first a reveal. I'd like to see Xbox specifically reach out to Andy and his team. They do an amazing job over at VGC,
Mhm.
and maybe pass over IGN, because I really do not think that Xbox needs them. But we will come to you back to you in a second, Fly Guy. Love the answer. Super appreciate it. Dave, obviously you're going to let it all hang out. Let's talk about this, because the Black Viking, who has been he basically exploded on the scene. The guy has been on the level of like a J Rock, which Jay is a good friend of mine. That guy is just Mr. Gremlin himself. He's been relentless, and for good reason. The Black Viking out there dropping the bars. I want to hear yours. When you consider, instead of IGN writing in a rebuttal about, oh, you know what? Glad that Xbox kind of cleared that up. They're not going third party. Instead, they keep the negative narrative about, well, gamers have been complaining about that achievement system, and well, that's what I got from that article. If that's what you got from that article, something is wrong. Are you there, Dave? Uh-oh. Dave had to step away for a hot
Yeah,
second.
he might. Yeah, he's away for a minute,
Okay.
but
Why don't
I'll pick it
you
up.
please, by all means, I'm sorry, because I was actually trying to pull up a tweet, so I wasn't in front of me. But go ahead, knock it out of the park, Fuzzy.
Yeah, like the biggest thing that always bothers me with like places like IGN is much like Fly Guy was saying, it they always pick up the negative. If there's anything positive, they kind of skip over it. It's like they answered and debunked their previous thing about the whole third party deal, and they want to focus on achievements, which goes to show, like, just like I used to joke about them, it's only a matter of time before they do something about like having AA batteries in a controller, or the Series S is a potato. Like they always like to fall back on those same things. Now, luckily, the whole 900p versus 1080p thing has been squashed long ago, and then they never revisited how a lot of games were either native 4K or closer to 4K resolution on the Xbox One X versus the PS4 Pro. But it's telling that as far as where their marketing dollars are and their engagement and all of that, it would seem like if they even started to do positive ads, or not ads, but like positive articles about Xbox, they would probably get the same engagement. It's just that PlayStation guys would be in the comments, saying PlayStation better,
PlayStation better,
or things like that. And instead of them being like, oh yeah, Xbox is dead, Xbox has no games. It's like IGN is the epitome of like a fanboy media site posing as an actual legitimate gaming media site.
Can I piggyback off of something you said really quickly before you continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's funny with the Xbox and PlayStation, resolution mattered until Xbox had better resolution. They didn't when PlayStation 4 was killing Xbox One when it comes to the resolution. They always talked about it, but as soon as Xbox One X and PlayStation 4 Pro came out, they kind of were like, let's not talk about it no more. And now PlayStation 5 had a few wins over Xbox as far as like performance and whatnot. Now they want to talk about it again. It's like anytime Xbox is winning, they don't want to they don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, it goes to it definitely goes to show that they have like either blinders on or intentionally, or just pushing one side of the story. They have, I mean, let's call it like it is. They have their own agenda when it comes to which platform they're cheering for. I was thinking, like, kind of like what Boom was saying, if he was CEO for like an hour or for like a short period of time, what he would do. I think it's almost to the point where IGN gets review copies the day of release, nothing earlier, ever again, and until they show that they're not going to be
bias.
Bias. Like, and people will point out, oh, well, they gave Forza Horizon glowing scores, and some other games glowing scores. That was when Xbox was their whipping boy for the most part, and there wasn't a direct competition as far as a PlayStation title. I mean, Drive Club has been dead since like 2018, since they closed the server. So having something like Forza Horizon and get a better score isn't that big of a deal, because PlayStation doesn't have a direct answer. And it always seems like if there is more of an answer, like now that GT7 exists, oh, well, Motorsport, well,
I'm about to say GT7 got a higher rating than Motorsport, and I cannot agree with that. I'm sorry. I cannot.
Well, the funniest part about the whole thing was they kept on talking about microtransactions in Motorsport 7 when there weren't any. You couldn't buy loot boxes. They were basically,
that was the craziest thing.
Yeah, it was your in-game credits would allow you to, like, if you could either just buy the cars outright, or you could buy their like gift box with your in-game credits that you won from racing or paint schemes or tuning downloads and things like that. And then you could buy that little gift box for like, I think it was like 25K, and you had the potential of getting 25,000 in like bonus or boost cards, or up to a $200,000 car. So it was like, hey, instead of a wheel spin, you could go with these boxes from your winnings, or you could just buy the car at the full price from your winnings, not out of your pocket, from the store. But yet with GT7, they had the whole microtransactions, which went from GT Sport to GT7. $5 used to be able to buy you like 2 or 3, $10 million to $20 million cars.
Oh, now you got to spend $1 million in real life.
Yeah, it's like you'll have, I think it's $40 to buy a $20 million car in real dollars, like $40 real dollars to buy a $20 million car. And
a virtual car.
They purposely, well, now recently they've upped the winnings as far as what they'll give you as far as distribution. But prior to that, it was the worst Gran Turismo in history for grinding to get dollars to buy cars. Like, I think it was an average of like 6 hours to get $1 million on the initial, if you were just doing like the regular races, until they added some of the newer ones. So to get $1 million, you had to race for 6 hours, or you could spend, I think it was $10 for a million or something along those lines. So that was clear that it wasn't in the pre-release, but it was definitely in the final version. But none of the reviewers went back and said, "Hey, this is a scummy practice. Let's call it out." No, of course not, because it's PlayStation. But yet they harped over, loot boxes that you couldn't buy with real world dollars, just your in-game currency. And that was like, it was gambling, and it's negative because you could, spend money. I'm like, well, where can I spend money to buy these boxes? Like, and they never answered that. Well, and then when I guess they got finally proven wrong about it, then they were like, well, eventually they could turn on a switch to do that. But it's like, well, where were you guys about turning on the switch that PlayStation did for GT7 for their loot, or not loot boxes, but their microtransactions? So it's a never ending tale. And I think until more, I guess you could say, not necessarily reliable, but more credible news sources, whether it's your VGCs or your Windows Centrals and things like that, or the news or the gaming news go-tos. I think it's just a matter of time before, some of that ad revenue dries up, because it looks like PlayStation is going to have to start pinching pennies when it comes to some stuff. Not saying that they're going broke or anything like that, but if they're making the PS Portal a console, or count as a console sale, and they're telling shareholders that, oh, well, we were about 10 million off of what we originally projected, but hey, the PS Portal is a console, so yeah, we might make it, type of thing. It just seems like it's weird. And it's funny to me that nothing negative PlayStation ever really gets published or talked about, whether it's the lawsuit that they're going through now, as far as
right now.
not having digital games available anywhere else but they're in their store. It's just, I don't know. IGN is the epitome of like a PlayStation fanboy news site, but it is what it is.
But I don't
Yeah,
think it's just IGN. I think it's a lot of these media sites, like Metra. Was Metra the one that gave
Me-
Hi-Fi
Me-
Rush the
yeah, it was Metro. Yeah.
Yeah.
like?
They
Bro,
basically
what?
said we'd like to give it a higher score, but we can't because Xbox has had a consistent first party cadence, which
Which is stupid.
I don't know. I didn't know we were reviewing cadence. I thought we were reviewing the game, but again, this is it is what it is. Dave, I want to get your you've been very, very stout in your opinions regarding the gaming media. So I say that the gaming media should be punished, because and I say that, and I don't mean like assaulted. What I mean is that less likely to get a review code or a first, like IGN has their IGN firsts, right? And they put it out on Front Street that they have these IGN firsts, and it gets them a lot of views. See, for me, if you're going to hurt my brand, no matter what I do, whether it's great or not, then why do I need you? So Tavish Hill, and I'm going to get to the super chats in a second. We got quite a few of them. Tavish Hill, good friend of the program, always here in the chat. He actually says something that's pretty interesting. I want to pose this question to you, Dave, and I'd like you to respectfully respond, of course. He says, I think punishing the press isn't a good idea. That won't help the brand image among consumers. Instead, give the public free game trials the same day as review codes go out. Let gamers steer the conversation. And even though that sounds like a really good idea, they are not in the business of giving anything away for free, especially a game, even if it's in demo form. Game Pass practically is free for your $17 a month versus the amount of content you're getting. I say, why should see? And again, my whole point, Tavish, is this: if IGN is going to go out of their way, whether it be a political agenda, like Dan Stapleton, he does not like consolidation within the industry. He said that publicly. And, so you have to ask yourself, is his 7 worth, is it pointed because of his distaste for Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard King and potentially buying Bethesda? Well, I don't know because I'm not him, and I'm not going to assume that I do. What I'm saying is that when you put certain things out there, you have to wonder why one particular entity is reviewed as if they can do no wrong, and other one, no matter how good they do, meaning Xbox, there's always a negative angle. There's never a positive first. See, and that's the difference I think that we see. It's a positive first Sony narrative, no matter what. And like I said, what's interesting, folks, and please, I know we don't. I don't want to spend too much longer on this because we've talked this to death. But if you think that I'm making this stuff up, 2023 by any year prior is probably the worst year in PlayStation platform history on a multitude of levels that started all the way in January moving forward. They have stepped on so many rakes, their face is numb, but yet someone like an IGN refuses to report on how poorly they treat their consumers, how terrible their business practices are, and how many people are leaving in droves. I mean, obviously, it starts with all the way at the head of the head of the table, which was Jim Ryan, and he was he left because he didn't want to fly anymore. We know he was fired. Connie Booth's another person. She has produced 120 plus games, and she was shooed away like she didn't matter. Her whole team got up and left because of it. But no one really talks about that at IGN. Those should have been front page news drops, but they weren't. IGN would rather tell you that Xbox is going third party, and when they're and when that situation is course corrected with the head of Microsoft Gaming sitting down, Dave, with and clearing that up instead of retracting or at least doing an update to the story. They talk about the achievement system being a problem. This is what I'm talking about, folks. It's blatant. Dave, let's get your hot take on this, man. I've talked enough.
Okay. So your question was, what is the standard or the expectation from these sites?
No, I mean, listen, it's okay. I was long-winded there.
That's
Quite
okay.
frankly, the industry. I really want you to respond to Tavish Hill. Do you think that someone like an IGN and a GameSpot and a Kotaku and a PC Mag should be the last on the list or the last one that you answer the phone when someone like an IGN is trying to get a first? Like, are
I
you
get you.
less likely to drop a game like I think Fly Guy actually had a great point where he said that what you're not getting it 3 weeks in advance. You're getting day of. That's when you're getting the review code. Or that Fuzzy, did you say that, Fuzzy?
Yeah, because
Okay,
I
so
figured it'd be like Hi-Fi Rush at that point. They won't get a chance to down it.
you know what? You're not getting a code 2 weeks early. You're getting it a day of release, and then you guys work it out because you don't deserve. If you're gonna hurt us with your poor reviews, then why should I play nice? How do you respond to that, Dave?
Well, if you take a step back from they're out to get us, because pretty much they are, and the reason for that is money, because
Right.
it's all about the money and where their ad revenue and where their subscriber base comes from. It's mainly from the market leader, Sony, because they have the most fans and most people that come and get information in gaming, because casual gamers, because that's what they know. So the the question is, do you not give them a code? You have to. You literally can't leave them out of the loop, because if you leave them out of the loop, if you're like, then you know what the headlines are going to be. What's Microsoft hiding with such and such game? Because we didn't get an early access code, and that means there's problems on this game, blah blah blah, and that's the headlines for every site, every pony site, everything. Now, I'm not saying you treat them any different than anybody else. Maybe you don't give them 50 codes, and then one guy who doesn't like the system, reviews it, you maybe give them one code for the whole quote unquote, division. Well, in fact, like IGN America, IGN Europe, IGN, the different ones. If you've noticed in the past, there's been times when like IGN the USA has given like poor reviews, where like the IGN Brazil was like, this is the best game I've ever played. It's like, well, imagine that. So there's definitely a good and bad to what you're doing, but you can actually hurt yourself more if you don't, give the code to all the sites that are legitimate news sites that should have the code. It should be reviewing it. And then if they quote unquote step on their own brakes or downplay the game, hopefully there's going to be enough other sites that you've put the code out to that will actually balance the narrative. And the biggest thing for me to consider is this is now, and you're right, this year has been horrible, absolutely shameful for Sony and the products and stuff that they've put out, and then how the coverage has been like, everything's fine, nothing to see here, and the world's burning around them. That's pretty much the way it has been. But like I said, it's about the money, and if Sony sees problem, they're going to throw money at her. Hey, you guys need to do this review, and if you think pay
Didn't
for play,
Xbox do that with Starfield though? They excluded a media outlet where they gave it to Digital Foundry, but not
Yes,
Digital
they,
Foundry's parent company or whatever. I forgot
yes,
what
they
it was.
did. Yeah,
Mhm.
they wind up doing that. They complained publicly, and then Microsoft, did what they did. They overcorrected, and they're like, okay, here's a review code. See, I wouldn't. I've been like, yeah, well, you know what, you guys are a bunch of D's, so you're not getting a code. Sorry, you go
right?
out of your
So
way
it's,
that's how I would roll it. But
but and like I said, it's a balance, and it's why you got to be careful, not because all that will do if you were to hold codes from all these people. I mean, if there's a legitimate quote unquote not a legitimate news source company, I mean, like, I didn't get a code, I shouldn't have got a code, you know. But for me, like, Boom and his channel and following, he should have got a code, and I believe you ended up eventually getting a code later
yes,
on
I was
for
approved by
Starfield.
Bethesda for
Exactly.
Starfield. Yeah, I
And
I got
so,
it the day of release. Yes, but
but still, that's a code you didn't have to. You'd have to buy an extra thing. You got the code, and that's awesome, because those are the kind of things that they need to keep in balance. I just I think in the long run, in a few years, as the tide changes, and I did say it the other day, and I'm telling you everybody, pay close attention to the game awards, not who's getting the awards, but how the coverage is, where the advertising is, and what you walk away from it. So will the game awards be the big winner? Will Sony be the big winner, or will Microsoft be the big winner in the hearts and minds of gamers? Because there's going to be millions and millions of people watching this, and it's the average gamer that they have to go after now.
yes,
Can
Have
I
to
ask a
go after.
question to all of you guys real quick?
sure.
Do you guys think that the media should determine a winner? Like, I think it shouldn't be media determining a winner. I don't think a winner should be determined. I think if you like the games, you like the games regardless of the platform.
Okay, well,
I
my
It
answer to
should be.
that is that there is multiple award shows based on
Mhm.
different criteria.
Yeah.
His particular show is based off of news outlets that he thinks are pertinent enough, which some of them are not, but he thinks that are, and that's where he gets his pull from. But there are a lot of other different award shows which don't get near the credibility they should, that do things different ways. There's even a few award shows that are more credible, I think, because they're strictly 1000% based off fan voting and
Okay.
nothing else. So I mean, you just have to, like I said, there's probably 15 really good award shows for gaming every year, but one or two are the ones that really get pushed up, or like, but yet if you look at a game box and you see, game of the year, oh wow, really cool. That's oh, what award they win? What company was that? Because you're gonna pick and pull all you can. That's my point.
Gotcha.
Fuzzy, you want to answer that question, brother?
Yeah, I kind of want to see a change overall, but Dave is right. There's many of them that have different criteria. For me, I would like to see something that's held January and February timeframe, so that way you have the full
The
scope
whole
of the
year.
previous year, and then have it where it's
Yes.
kind of like a mixture between those in the industry, whether it's part of like studios or representatives from different platforms. You can have some of the media mixed in there, some of the content creators or influencers as well, and then have like I would say a third of it be the actual gamers themselves. Like if there was a way to divvy it up where each group gets like a third of the input as far as the vote or the narrowing down of the categories, kind of like what they did for the fan vote for the Game Awards. I would like to see something similar to that where it's like, okay, 50 games came out, here's the top 20, and then we narrow it down to the top 10, and then the fans start voting based on those top 10, and you know they get like a third of the weight for the vote, those in the industry, because like the Dice Awards I think is peer to peer, so it's like the people over at EA are voting on games that might be from Ubisoft, and Ubisoft is voting on games that might be from PlayStation, and so on and so forth. And then have it where like some of the sites, whether it's your VGCs, your Windows Centrals, and unfortunately your IGNs as well, but at least at that point I guess their weight isn't as heavy as it is like with Metacritic or even with the Game Awards, where they count almost for like 3 votes to like Windows Central's 1 or whatever the case may be, kind of thing. But I'd like to see some changes, or somebody do a more inclusive voting process, or a more
Yeah,
transparent, inclusive voting process as far as fans, industry people, as well as those in the media, and come to some, you know,
because Hi-Fi
resolve
Rush
that.
not being a candidate is crazy to me. But that's just
Yeah,
I don't
but
know. I could
I,
be so.
I, speculation here, but I think a lot of us would probably agree if it was on a different platform, it probably would
100%.
have been nominated.
Dude,
Mhm.
I'll put it to this way, and I really mean this. And like I said,
Not
I'm
saying what
playing.
platform. Not saying which one though.
No, no, I'm just gonna I'm gonna make a blanket statement. Hypothetically, if Hi-Fi Rush which we have heard actual journalists say, "Wow, this looks like a PlayStation game," which I don't even know what that means, but I guess maybe that's quality. Okay, fine. Um, if Hi-Fi Rush would have been on, let's say, a different platform, we're not going to say which one it is, and you know what I'm talking about. It would have gotten a nomination in every category. It would have walked away with 9 noms, as much as Spider-Man. Spider-Man got 7. And Spider-Man 2 is a good game. It is not a great game. It is an 8.5 currently for me. It's not going to go higher than that because I played this already. And again, not a knock on it. I'm quite enjoying myself, but it is very much a Spider-Man game. Hi-Fi Rush is a game that, yes, it got 2 nominations less, but probably should have gotten 2 nominations more. And I've said this before, and I will say it again. Starfield completely snubbed. It did get its 1 nom, right, for RPG of the year, which we know it's going to lose to Baldur's Gate 3. And
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's
Yep.
Gate 3 is quite frankly it's a masterclass achievement from that team. Cannot argue that. But I will say, and I'm going to stand on this square, and we're going to move on to the next topic, folks, that if Starfield would have eventually ended up as a PlayStation exclusive as they wanted it to be, because they wanted it to be an exclusive. They tried to make it an exclusive, and
Mhm.
instead of PlayStation buying the exclusivity, well, Microsoft just bought the whole company. Instead of buying the cow, they bought the farm, and because of that, there you saw a lot of backlash for this not coming to another platform. So that I really believe that if this was a PlayStation exclusive, folks, it would have been game of the generation, game of the year, and it would have gotten nominations as much as Spider-Man, potentially more. Even with Baldur's Gate 3 in there, I think they would have split nominations evenly. That's my take on it. But again, that's speculation. I do want to move on, folks. We still have 2 topics. Phil Spencer, and we're going to get into it because during this interview, during the not that particular interview with Jez Corden, he was actually in Brazil They had they had one of their big shows in Brazil, and one of the big takeaways, besides Phil Spencer being there to talk with the Brazilian fans, which we know he loves, it was confirmed that that Starfield has crossed 12 plus million players. That is pretty good, and we know for a fact, folks, it has sold over 10 million copies. That is also big, considering it is on, of course,
Game
Game
Pass.
Pass. But let me catch up on the super chats, and we'll get into that topic. And then, of course, we'll get into a few other things before we get on out of here. Highlander 001, generous friend of the program, has gifted 5 Double Barrel Gaming memberships. That is very kind of you. You've done that more times than not, and I truly appreciate the generosity. So Highlander 001, thank you so much for that. Kirby Zero Louise, very good friend of the program. He drops, folks, a $20 super chat, and he says, "Oh, but guys, IGN put out a follow-up article on this, except it's 2 paragraphs long and mostly lazy copy and paste. What Phil said. MSM journalist, everyone. A super chat to show support for an honest channel. That is very kind of you. We appreciate the kind words and, of course, the generosity. Pip 1006 drops a very generous £5 super chat and says, "How will IGN spin PlayStation stealing or getting rid of your paid for content?" That's right, folks. They put out I don't know if you saw the email. There is some content in films that, if you bought from PlayStation, is no longer going to be available. So if you paid actual money for it, you would think you'd have the rights to use it. The answer is no, you do not. So if you bought certain films from a certain company, they're no longer going to be available, and PlayStation is not giving refunds, which we know that they don't. So very disappointing there. Simon Brandy drops an outstanding £5 super chat and says, "Metro, same as IGN. They were all over the CFO's comments, but put up an article about Xbox going third party. Not a peep from them about Spencer's rebuttal." Yeah, and why would they? Because, well, that's positive news, and positive Xbox news, I guess, does not get click engagement for these sites. Again, more disappointment. Maxie Coleman, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "How come you are a Microsoft CEO and left this random dudes laugh at you like this? Does Phil have no blood in his veins?" Maxie, look, here's the thing. He is got to be a proper gentleman. He is the CEO. He's not going to get in the middle of the conversations that we have on, in our social circles. I don't think he has to. What he has to continue to do is bring more value to the people that support the brand, like we do with Game Pass. He has to continue to innovate, and he has to continue to bring more games that we have, that we want in our service. And I think he's doing that. I honestly, you're never gonna see Phil make a comment about, something that someone at IGN said, because he is honestly supposed to be above that. That's what we are here for. And obviously, we're going to talk about it on this particular channel. But thank you, Maxie, for the generosity and, of course, the comment. Dreadful Sean drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "I still haven't seen an article about PlayStation taking digital content, Discovery TV shows away from the people that paid for it, with no mention of a refund." So yes, yeah, again, that's what we were just talking about. That's what Pip was talking about. No articles on that. Not even a one article on that. I only knew about it because people were posting it on Twitter. I was like, "Hey, what? This is crazy. How is this happening in 2023?" But IGN, they won't cover it. Cheap Skink, I think that's how you say it, drops an outstanding $5 super chat, and he says, "Why talk about IGN newsworthy? They've proved bias back when Dan Stapleton refused to cover PlayStation Network VP getting busted in a pedophile sting." Oh, I did not even know about that, to be honest with you, and that's definitely
Because
not
it wasn't
good.
reported.
There you go. And there's the answer, folks. Highlander 001 drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "The Microsoft CFO was talking about Call of Duty and the profit margin of leaving Call of Duty on other consoles or other systems. not about Microsoft going third party. It's about the dollars. Yes, and that yeah, you're absolutely correct in saying so. I mean, he did say that in that article that that they wanted it on any screen possible, and he did mention PlayStation and Nintendo. But again, I honestly think it was taken out of context, which is exactly what Highlander was saying, and that's a phenomenal point. And again, really, we kind of all knew that PlayStation would not have their a competing service with them. Because look, could you imagine if Xbox Game Pass is on PlayStation and they're getting day-and-day games and Sony is not putting day-and-day games? It would make their service already sucks. Let's call a spade a spade. It's 160 bucks a year for no day and date, no improvements to the service whatsoever, and occasionally, and I say occasionally, you're going to get a sea of stars where you're getting sea of stars level content on a monthly basis with Xbox Game Pass. So there's that.
And you're still streaming PS3 games. Still streaming PS3 games.
Streaming, not downloading, but streaming. Yeah, it's definitely not good. But look, let's move on to the next topic. And guys, I want to get your Fly Guy. I want to go to you first. 12 million players for Starfield on a game that most people want you to believe is mediocre. It's mid, as the kids like to say. It's a 7. Well, 12 million players since it launched on September 5th, or it was 5th or 6th. And we're just starting. It's the 4th of December. It's been out 3 months. That is pretty good numbers for a game that is available in Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Game Pass for PC. And also, it has sold over 10 million copies. One of the best-selling Bethesda games to date. Let's get your take on the confirmation from Phil Spencer about 12 million plus players.
Honestly, I think Phil Spencer put this out there for a reason, and the reason was these articles keep saying, "Oh, Starfield is losing their player count," but it's literally a single player game. So, like after a few months, single player games typically lose some player count, correct? But if 12 million people have played the game, that's a lot of people. What was Spider-Man sales this year?
5 million copies reported so far.
So 5 million, that it's more than double at this point.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, and Spider-Man is nominated for Game of the Year. And I love Spider-Man. I'm not gonna lie. That I know you said it's an 8.5 for you. For me, that's my game of the year. But
good for you, man. That's excellent.
But at the same time, like Starfield is clearly doing that, like Xbox is doing something right with Starfield. Something is going right. And Phil Spencer had to put it out there that, hey, you say we're losing player counts, but we've had 12 million people play this game. So which one is correct? You know?
Yeah, it's funny because, like I said, I am quite enjoying Spider-Man. Like I said, if I had to give you a negative take on it, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again,
it's more Spider-Man.
Fact that see, I won't say it's too much Spider-Man because I really loved Spider-Man 2018 so much so that I platinumed it. I am one or two trophies away from platinuming Miles Morales. I loved it. Emotionally, I was like super invested in Miles for a lot of personal emotional ties to how his family was portrayed and stuff. And I've gone through that. I quite like I said, this is a great it's a great Spider-Man game. But it is a Spider-Man game, and not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's a Spider-Man game. Okay, I get it. 8.5 out of 10 for me. I enjoyed it so much. I bought the controller. I bought the plates for my console. I bought the digital deluxe edition. I'm in the bag, folks. And I'm not ashamed to say that I enjoyed that game. I'm not ashamed to say it at all. I quite enjoyed it, and I'm still enjoying it because I haven't beaten it yet. But the truth of the matter is that when you look at something like Starfield, right? People are still talking about Starfield. And how do you know that, Web Dave? Is you know that because every time you go to your socials, someone like Nico, who has been, I think he just crossed
Nico Mueller.
Yes, 16 days He's beaten it a multitude of times, and at every turn, he's not getting paid to talk about Starfield. Microsoft is he's not on the payroll. He's a community guy that just really likes the game. Someone like Pong Soul, someone like Steel Rain, who has 100+ hours. Pong Soul 300 hours. Myself 5+ days after I finally rolled credits. Now I'm Starborn, and now I'm rolling through it. I just started New Game Plus. People are still talking about this game, and here is why this game is special. A, it's a Bethesda game, Dave, but B, people are going to be playing this game 10 years from now the same way they're playing other Bethesda games that are a decade old. Let's get your hot take on 12 million players touching Starfield since it launched in early September. This is a triumph for a new IP.
Oh man, I think it's great, and those numbers are going to continue to grow. The more people find out about it that haven't played it, and hopefully, when we get more people into Game Pass and they realize it's there and they can just download it and play it, and then they'll get hooked up in the phenom that is Starfield. And the thing that is exciting to me is how good it is, how much we all are enjoying it right now. We know that there is DLC coming. We know that there is more content coming. I mean, the game is huge. You pretty much hard to say you can get 100% everything done, every planet, every area, every space in the game done in your lifetime. And here there's more content coming. I think that's fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to it, and kudos to it, the team, amazing. I'm just hoping that it's not a one and done. I really believe that they have so much potential and so much growth that they can do with this new franchise. I love it. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't played it, do yourself a favor, try it out. Don't listen to the haters because they're only hating because it's not on PlayStation, and that is the only reason that they have. If it's not on their plastic box, that's the only reason I don't like it. Because if it actually got done the way Sony wanted it to, they would be. It's the greatest game of a generation, which it is, but it's just not a PlayStation generational game. Sorry, guys.
I mean, listen, for $16.99, you can play that and a host of other games on Game Pass. You don't even have to buy a console. You go, like I did, the new OLED I have has the Xbox Hub, and you literally just got a single controller. And I'm here to tell you, man, it works like a console. Like I could not tell the difference. I played Forza, I played Halo, I played Starfield, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like this. I'm playing this on my freaking TV.
Mhm.
Yeah, Xbox has got it going on, man. And like I said, I think that come this Thursday, we're going to be incredibly impressed with what they have going on. They're bringing some big bombs with them, and I think, and again, I'm only going based on some of the excitement from you hear from like Jez Corden is great. He doesn't reveal secrets, but you can tell he's excited. Um, when you listen to the Xbox Two podcast with him and Rand,
I want to
and
see Gear 6. I want to see Gear 6. That's all I want to see.
dude, that is I have a feeling that's going to be there in some way. That's just my hot take on it. Gear 6 needs to show up in a big way because we know that the coalition's been working on it. We know they're the masters of Unreal. Personally, folks, like I said, I don't know how you feel about Gears 5. I gave Gears 5 a 9.5 out of 10. I reviewed it reviewed it for Xbox, and I loved every second of it because it gave me what I wanted out of Gears, and that's kind of opened the doors. It wasn't
Yeah,
open world, and
they're
then
using
it's fun.
Unreal Engine 5, right? In the new one. They're using the new Unreal Engine,
Oh
right?
yeah, Unreal 5 is for Gear 6. Unreal 4 was for Gears 5. Yeah, so yeah, they're definitely using the new Unreal 5 for Gear 6, which is amazing. And they're the masters of that Unreal Engine. That's just the coalition. They may not have released anything in a minute, but when they do, it's going to be a big deal. I'm very excited for that. But and look, Wade Johnson won. Hive Busters 10 out of 10. Yeah, Hive Busters. We need more one-offs like that. Actually, I'd love to see that come to Halo Infinite. To be honest with you, I don't need a 70-hour campaign. Give me 14 hours of, let's say, Team Osiris with Locke and let us find out what happened, leading up to Halo Infinite. That's what I will take. That's what I need in my life. Because I mean, listen, I know a lot of people don't like Locke. I'd love to see what happened with him. I'd love to see what happened with Buck. I'd love to see what happened with the rest of Team Osiris. That would be a dope 14 hours. And just take the blueprint of Hive Busters. That's all you got to do. Hive Busters was freaking dope. As a matter of fact, I got to record footage of some gear stuff because I gotta get some other stuff other than Halo, and I'm actually gonna run through Hive Busters again this month because I usually play it in December at least once, and that's such a phenomenal single player game. But listen, or multiplayer, you can play it in if you want with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get your hot take on this. There are some in the community, and I'm not bringing the media into this because the media, they are who we thought they were, as Coach Green said all those years ago. You know what I'm talking about, Fly Guy. They are who we thought they were, right? Coach Green. When he was the Vikings head coach.
Man, I'm a Vikings fan, so it's hilarious.
I'm a Steeler fan, and we sucked yesterday, and our quarterback's out for a month. So yeah, good luck. We have Trubisky. That's going to be we're not even going to make the playoffs. It's just awful. It is what it is. But Fuzzy Belvedere, let's get back to gaming. I'm sorry I took it off to the left. Sorry. Some people in the gaming community want us to forget about Starfield. That the game is what some people are saying, and I've seen this, Mr. Irrelevant of 2023 didn't deliver on its promise. The world, traversal isn't as good as it should be because it's better in others. Too much like a Bethesda game. It's a Bethesda joint that's like a Bethesda joint. I don't know if I like that. So when you see that a game that is as vast as this is, because it's a big game, 12 plus million players have started their journey in Starfield. One of the most exciting things that no matter who you talk to, you get a different experience. You get a different scenario. I love the fact that no one tells the same story in Starfield on how they play and who they've met. 12 million players confirmed by Phil Spencer at the Brazil event. Pretty big deal.
Oh yeah, and it's funny. When it got snubbed for the Game Awards, I was thinking of like new categories that they should probably add. I mean, other than like this, biggest snubbed category kind of thing between that and Hogwarts. I was thinking about the most talked about or rent free in everybody's mind kind of thing. And Starfield would definitely be that for 2023. I mean, there were news or there were gaming sites that were like, oh, I've already forgotten about Starfield. Wait, so if you forgot about it, why are you writing an article about it? You're not writing an article about any other game that you obviously forgot about that came out earlier in the year or any other time of the year, but you purposely wrote an article saying you forgot about Starfield, but then writing the article tells us that you didn't forget. So I don't know. It 12 million is kind of like what I expected at this point in time. I think by the time it reaches its 1 year anniversary, 20 million players, if not 30 million players, will have played Starfield at that point. I'm sitting just shy of 13 days of playtime. And like I said, I was like a madman where I had, I think, 3 simultaneous playthroughs before Forza came out. So it was like, I was trying
dude, he was Fly Guy. He was playing 3 different games at the same time. How he still has a head, I don't believe it, because my head would have exploded already.
Well, I wanted to make sure I tried each one of the factions like in a different order and like pick different companions. And there's just so many different possibilities in this game that was probably the biggest appeal. Like, everybody's going to have like their favorite faction that they're going to sign up with and everything and play through. Everybody's going to probably have their favorite free starship that they get based on some of those rewards from the faction, outcomes and things like that, or other, goodies that they give you depending on which one you pick. But this game just has so much depth to it. And the fact that it's going to be played 10 years from now, even 20 years from now. And mods are already, making this into like your perfect Star Wars simulator to some extent. If you want to be a Jedi, well, you don't even have to do the mods to kind of act like a Jedi because of some mechanics in the game kind of thing. I mean, the only thing missing is a lightsaber, but outside of that, you got so many different possibilities, whether it's weapon types, different starships you could build, the fact that you could do base building, hearing that somebody decrypted some of the coding and stuff like that, and so that you could build that there's I guess code in there so you could build space stations and stuff like that, although it's not in the game currently, but it's probably something that either the modders are going to make themselves, or you'll have it as an add-on later on. And let's not forget, there is DLC that they're still working on, which I think they said it was going to be about 6 months out. So that would put it right in time for March compared to its original release date. And with that, there's also supposed to be the actual official modding tools released around that time as well. So the fact that there's thousands of mods and we don't even have the actual proper tools yet. I mean, yes, it's based on Bethesda's, creation engine and stuff like that. Even though this is an updated version of that, most of the stuff kind of carries over. Some stuff winds up breaking though, as the modders have found. But there's just so much depth to this game, and I can only imagine 10 years from now what the mods and the actual continued support will be for this game. Like, it will probably be the same, genre, obviously, as far as like sci-fi RPG, but it's going to probably feel quite a bit different in a good way, as far as all of the things that will be like quality of life updates, additional missions, additional story branches, and things like that. Like, this game has so much going for it, and 12 million players, I mean, was kind of like to be expected, considering this is like Xbox's biggest title in quite some time. So I just I don't know. I just try not to pay attention to those media sites that want to talk about how they're losing player count, but it's a single player game. Like, do we do this for other single player games? Like, I
I'm
don't
about
see
to say, I
anybody
got a
talking about.
question. Did Spider-Man? Did they do it for Spider-Man? Because I don't know if they
No.
did that for Spider-Man. Oh, okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I know somebody crawled
Great
the
question
trophy
there, Fly
list.
Guy.
Well, see, the thing is, like, with the way PlayStation's player count is, since nothing, well, other than the things that are actually on PC and Steam, like, I think somebody put an account together. Like, actually, several people put an account together, whether it was J-Rock or the Black Viking or someone else. Like, if you were to take all of PlayStation's titles that are on PC and on Steam, added up their peak player count, it was half of what the actual current player count was for Starfield. So if that tells you anything, considering most of those, if not all of those, are single player games, why are we worrying about Starfield losing player count when God of War? Yes, I understand it was only 4 years later that it finally became available on Steam, but I don't see any articles talking about the fact that there's like 3 people playing. Like, really? So
not
I don't know.
that.
It's
Horizon, Horizon. We don't see that about Horizon either. We don't. I don't know. I don't know what the common denominator is, but something about it. We don't see it for those other single player games. I don't know what it is. So somebody want to let me know?
Yeah, I mean, well, they'll claim that it's released later, so there isn't as much interest, which to me tells me that Sony should probably do day and date for PC releases anyway. I mean, it would only make sense. I mean, most of the PC, well, you're either going to have 2 customer base. You're either going to have the PlayStation 5 guys that have a PC. Can you get them to double dip and buy it on both the PS5 and the PC? I mean, I love how we have dual entitlement with Xbox as far as for PC through the Windows Store and on the console, but they need to do day and date so you have those guys will either be able to play it in the best possible way, which is on PC most of the time, or you'll have the PC crowd that don't want to bother with console but still want to play those games. Why not have it where it's day and date? I don't foresee it cannibalizing sales, because if the guy has a PS5 and a PC, they're still at least buying it once. The guy that only has a PC and doesn't have a PS5 probably wasn't
not buying
buy
it until it comes
anyway.
out. Yeah,
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 exactly.
100%.
So just
Yeah.
release the game on PC. Then we'll talk. Well, then we'll see if there's still an interest in single player games that have like a 20-hour lifespan, or 20 hours to complete type of thing. How much the player count falls off after the first couple of days or weeks or whatever. But yeah, 12 million players is a good number for this type of title. And like I said, I expect 20 million by its 1 year anniversary, if not 30 million by its 1 year anniversary. But we'll see how it goes. And by March, that DLC will definitely bring whatever players have
More
fallen off.
players.
It'll bring them back. So
Yeah,
We'll see.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen, real quick, I don't know who said it in the chat. Hold on a second. Let me see if there's a super chat here that actually said it. My God, I'm so sorry. Someone in the chat said, "Hey, listen, FYI, Xbox gamers, CD Keys has Game Pass, the 3-month subscription on sale right now for $27. So it's half price. But I'm gonna give you one better, folks, because I just bought it. I actually bought two, and they're both for gifts. I bought the 12-month, the year subscription to Game Pass, folks, at CD Keys right now, $49.99.
Mm.
So if you need it, go buy it forthwith. 12 months for $49.99. I just bought two of them, folks. It works. Like legit works. Look, I know that we in the title, which I'm gonna change, is Xbox is changing the gaming industry in big ways. I'm gonna pull that topic live on the air because what I want to do is I want to have some fun. Now, shout out to the dude in the chat. I just welcomed him in. He has a different opinion of Starfield. You're allowed, brother. You are allowed to hang out with us and have a different opinion. We don't judge, man. There's no judgment here. Like what you like, and just come and hang out and have fun. You know what I want to do for fun, guys? Because I'm not going to sit down with either of you before the Game Awards, because obviously Fuzzy and Web Dave will be joining me on the post show, which we'll be covering on Friday morning, as we've done for the last 5 years. This is the sixth year in a row that we'll be covering the results, the winners, the losers, the snubs, and of course, more importantly, all of the big announcements. So Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Breakfast with Boom, we will be covering that. I'm not doing a show per se. I'm going to try and jump on Mav's stream that he's doing at the Fun Speculation Network. Jump on there for a little bit during the live stream. I kind of just want to watch it as a fan. I don't want to do anything podcast related. Wednesday evening, we're doing our prediction show with everyone from Primetime Gaming. Retry from Game Pass Daily will be joining us. I might have one other guest join us as well. We're going to do our predictions on that evening. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday evening. But I'll start first with Fly Guy. We know, thanks to Phil Spencer, that Xbox is going to have a presence there. You see, I'm going to paint the picture for you. Nintendo is unlikely to have anything big because, well, Nintendo does their own things as they've done for years with their Treehouse events. And if you're going to announce a Switch 2, it's not going to be at the Game Awards because you're trying to still sell Switch 1s, right? We know that they're up for 2 Game of the Year nods, obviously, with Mario Wonder, which is amazing, which my nephew beat in front of me this weekend, and I don't know how he does it. That last Bowser fight, ridiculous, but he did it, and he's 14, so go figure. And of course, Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, phenomenal Zelda game. That both of them deserve to be there, at least in my opinion. We know, and I think I'm going to assume now, if I make an ass out of myself, I will admit it, but I don't think Sony is going to have a presence at all outside of potentially maybe bringing Kojima to talk about Death Stranding 2, because themselves, their first party is hurting. They don't have anything ready because they move directions, and that's why Jim Ryan is not there. So I don't think they're going to bring anything. Fly Guy, this is an opportunity to sell the gaming public on why they should consider Xbox. And I'm thinking they're going to bring 3 to 4 trailers. You're saying Gear 6. a lot of people seem to think in the community that Indiana Jones by Machine Games is going to be there. That's a good pick. And if you don't know, if you're a fan or you're subscribed to Disney Plus, the new Indiana Jones film launched on that service this Friday, and it would go kind of like perfect if they dropped the trailer, get people interested in the film, get people interested in the game. For you, what do you hope Xbox brings to the big show? Which, if you've been following, like I think we all have, the Game Awards, maybe you don't like Keeley. Maybe you don't like the Game Awards on how the reviews and how the 120 people vote. And I hear you. But the truth of the matter is that engagement in business is what matters. And every year, the Game Awards gets millions and millions of more views. It has grown exponentially over the course of the 10 years that it has become a thing. What do
Mhm.
you hope that Xbox brings to the table to really cement why you should be an Xbox subscriber to Game Pass?
As you guys already know, I already said Gears is one thing I'm hoping that we do see. But that aside from Gears, there's a few different games that I would like to see. One being Stalker Heart of Chernobyl. I want to see that. With everything they got going on over there, for them to continue to be able to develop this game, I want to see what they got cooking. That's one. But what was that? I'm trying to think of that game that we actually saw at E3 this year. It wasn't E3 because they changed it or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
But it was the southern game.
South of Midnight.
South of Midnight. That's what I want to
Dude,
see.
that game looks so. That's
That's
Compulsion.
that's what I want to see.
Yes.
I want to see that. I would love to see that game. And let just for for me, if they said, "Hey, we're remaking Jet Set Radio Future," I wouldn't be upset. I won't be mad. I won't be mad.
Sega's going to have a presence. They've confirmed they're going to be there, and we know that Microsoft is working with them exclusively on the big games, as they call them.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a possibility. They're rumored to have been working on Jet Set and Crazy Taxi, for that matter. So maybe that would be big, dude. Yeah.
That would make me a little too happy. Not gonna lie.
And obviously, you're a fan. If I may suggest something to you that you may or may not know is out, did you see the game
Cyberpunk?
Cyberpunk? Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah,
the
yeah,
one. I got put
yeah.
onto that by Kay Asante. I was like, boom, if you're a Jet Set fan, you got to play this game. It would have made such a great Game Pass game. It should have, because it launched up against so much other big games that no one even knows about it. Yeah, Cyberpunk is like a spiritual successor. It basically is Jet Set Radio, just not made by Sega. And
Yeah.
I bought it. It's phenomenal. So I mean, those are good picks. Those are phenomenal picks. Dave, I want to bring you into the conversation, but
Yep.
let me catch up on Super Chat, sir. Jonas the Dad. First of all, welcome and thank you for the $2 Super Chat. He says he has 25 days in Starfield. He's at level 102, and he's just now getting ready for base building. Wow. I hang my head in bag of shame. 5 days. I have actually been told you barely scratch the surface. Boom. I wouldn't say that publicly. 5 days. I'm sorry. I'm ashamed. Thanks so much for the generosity, brother, and congratulations that you're enjoying the game, Jonas the Dad. Salt, I love the name. Salt the Fries 86, indeed. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, why? And this is a great question. This is a great question, folks. Why can Insomniac use the same great template and be applauded for it every time, while Bethesda can't, even if they actually changed it so much? And yeah, that there again, he's referring to the Bethesda game not being good enough because it's a Bethesda game. When you look at Spider-Man, and like I said, you can't argue the fighting mechanics, the traversal. They do it right. Insomniac is legit the best studio that they have on the PlayStation Studios.
Carrying Sony right now. Carrying Sony.
Yeah, very well said. We're absolutely carrying them on their back. And their Spider-Man engine, even though, yes, we've played 3 versions of it, you cannot argue that engine is not dope. Their fighting mechanics are amazing. No pun intended. And that's a great point, Salter Fries. And Torino Johnson drops. Wait a second. This is crazy, folks. I'm saying this live on the air because Torino Johnson has once again shamed Mr. Boomstick for my time played in Starfield. Folks, he has 40 days, 13 hours, and 21 minutes. He's level 115, new game plus times 5 as of right now. Been to a world with no constellations, still loving it. Finished MK1, not happy. So, folks, 40 days in Starfield. He's finished the game. He said been to a world where there was no constellation. I didn't know that was happening. I've seen people actually meet themselves. It happens randomly, which is freaking awesome. Well, that's good, man. That's congratulations. I'm glad you're enjoying it that much. I loved every second of it. I wish I had more time, but I'm back to Harry Potter, which well, not Harry Potter, Hogwarts Legacy, which is another phenomenal game. But Web Dave, let's bring you in on the conversation, sir. What do you hope? We know they're going to be there. I think they're going to bring 3 to 4 trailers. I think that they are going to take over the Game Awards. I think even though they're not going to be winning as many awards as they probably should, that's okay. I still think Xbox is going to be the talk of the town. And if you are going to have millions upon millions of viewers, which most of which are going to be the casual audience, what better time to show off and take over the Game Awards when Sony is down and Nintendo is not going to show up with their wares because they're going to do their own thing? What do you think?
Well, I guess we're speculation, guess, hopeful thinking, wishful thinking, whatever you want to say. What they need to do is every break, or at least every other break, needs to be some form of Game Pass ad at the show. And I mean, like, one ad being, Game Pass, only this much a month. And here's the family games, the Banjo, all the different ones, the Minecraft, all the ones that are quote unquote family games that are included in Game Pass, and then say, as you close it up, and beginning in January, Crash Bandicoot, all the other ones that are going to be dropping, the best deal in gaming, and then another commercial maybe a little later on saying, Call of Duty fan, Game Pass is for you. Call of Duty, come into Game Pass, and here's every single Call of Duty game dropping in Game Pass on January 1st or something like that. Just to absolutely like, what? And hit it home every time. Just keep hitting it home. And then hopefully close to the end of the show and the big finale.
IGN will still produce a bad article. Go ahead, continue.
Well, probably. but at the end, come out and say, now, oh, by the way, starting now that the show's over, here is, Game Pass Family, $34.99, whatever it is, still a great value. 5 people can be on one Game Pass account or under one banner with the family plan, and it'd be like, it still save you tons of money. Also, we all hope that if it is quote unquote game of the year, Baldur's Gate, that it that it drops day and date in Game Pass. Oh, by the way, Baldur's Gate is coming to Game Pass and it's available right now. That would just mic drop. It would be fantastic. And that, to me, that would be something that they need to do. They really need to bring the kitchen sink, everything in the kitchen sink, man. Just bring it all, dump it on the plate, anything you can. I mean, obviously, those things are going to hold back and save. I like that. Dreamcast games, yeah, exactly. But and there's just so much that you can do. I guarantee you, Phil and Em have had lots of meetings about what's the best way to get the most impact and still have a roadmap, which I guarantee they're going to have, that they're going to be dropping some kind of show in January or February. That's going to be, where you actually get to, with the devs, look like they did last year. And then, of course, this quote unquote E3 time of year, they've got plans for that as well. And to continue the growth and the drops and, spreading the value of Game Pass. But Game Pass, if it is their linchpin, they're big. Exactly. I love what Jared Mack says. Go big or go home. And they went home last year. This year, it's time to make it their show. No matter who wins, the overall winner needs to be Microsoft and Xbox brand. That really needs to be the winner for the casual gamer, in my opinion.
I absolutely agree. I think you're onto something. I think they need to go there. Considering that last year they were there with only a Game Pass ad. I think that last year we all understand as fans that's what had to happen because of the whole ABK situation where I don't want to say they were purposely looking weak, but they could not really put it out there, so to
So they
speak.
could, they
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So they were doing things in a way that they had to do them. I think that this is a year that, considering, I mean, 2023 for Xbox has been bombastic for games, for game releases. They have released a lot of, and again, I know that people continue going, "Whoa, what about the Redfall?" Redfall happened, folks. It was they dropped the ball. It happens, dude. Doesn't mean that does not define the entire year that they have had. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. It is a miss. They know they missed. Obviously, you saw what happened with Phil coming out there with Paris and the gang over at
Forspoken.
Kind of Funny.
I was about to say
Yeah.
I wasn't
Oh,
I
I'm
wasn't
sorry.
even gonna say Forspoken because Forspoken wasn't made by PlayStation. I was gonna
It's
say
still-
Blood Hunt. Blood Hunt.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. There you go.
Sony has problems too, people.
Yeah, they absolutely do. They absolutely do. But listen, Fuzzy Belvedere, let's get your hot take on this, and we'll get everyone out of here. What are you hoping that they show up with? And to Dave to Dave's point specifically, like literally hitting with Game Pass ad after Game Pass ad, and obviously, we're here for the games, right? That's what we are here for.
Yeah.
I think this is a great time to show what 2024 is going to look like.
Well, one of the things I'm hoping that they show, and it's not to be like a in their face kind of thing for the Game Awards, but show, maybe it's a 30-second snippet of combat, because I know everybody's been asking for combat for Hellblade 2, but at the tail end of it, have the date for the developers direct. They'll be either January or February at the end of it for a deeper dive on the combat and all the other systems for Hellblade 2. Maybe an update. It doesn't have to be released in 2024, but maybe an update for Perfect Dark, because they showed it at the Game Awards in the past. So maybe a update letting us know that it could be another 2024 game or possibly a 25 game. I think it's a good idea to have possibly that there. But to like what Dave was saying with Game Pass, the one thing that they've kind of, and even Phil has kind of hinted at it recently, that it's more about they won't be able to release the family plan until they can get everything worked out with their partners, as far as it's probably like the profit sharing and stuff like that, where you go from one person for a subscription to 5 people for the subscription. I'm pretty sure some of their partners probably want like maybe a bigger cut or something like that. But if they've gotten all of that worked out, hopefully we hear something about the family plan at the Game Awards. Having something like that announced just before the holidays at the Game Awards, where you have a lot of casuals watching the Game Awards, I think would be I wouldn't say the kill shot for this generation, but it'll definitely have a lot of people, start to think, well, if me and my uncle or my brother or me and my wife and our kids, we sign up for this and we all have access to all these games for 25, 30 or whatever a month, it would be like a no thought, you don't even have to think long before you signed up kind of deal. So I would like to see something like that take place at the Game Awards. But we know that there's going to be something Sega related there, and Microsoft and Sega have been close partners, or mainly Xbox and Sega have been close partners over these years. And what better way, although I don't think they need to be acquired necessarily, and it would be, what I would like to see ultimately, where they're, like their publisher arm for, Japan or for the East kind of thing. But maybe that partnership deepens where we get to see what that super game is, and maybe it's Virtual Fighter, like an updated Virtual Fighter or something like that, or maybe it's Shinobi or whatever their super game is. It's coming to Game Pass day and date, gets shown on the stage, kind of thing.
Yes, now we're
And
talking.
that's being the mic drop, but
yeah, dude. Yep, now we're talking. That's what
Yeah.
that's what we need in our lives, folks. We need big games to show off partnerships. They need to appeal to outside of America,
Mhm.
right? The Asian region, of course, Japan, Korea, things of that nature. They need a presence. They don't have a presence now, and but they're working on it. And we know
Yeah.
that with all the partnerships, that specifically Sega, whether you think that they're relevant or not, they are relevant, still relevant in Japan.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it. I think that they should. And again, not saying that you can't count out Sony, you can't count out Nintendo to show up, but the truth of the matter is that it's unlikely that either of them will. And if they don't, well, then that's fine. Let Xbox, really show up in a big way. Show us all kinds of games, because that's the one thing about Xbox that you have to admit, especially when you talk about Game Pass. The types of genres that are available for your service are incredible. And again, I'm not saying anything's wrong with the way that Nintendo does it or Sony does it, but you get a different plethora of choice in everything from first person shooters to RTSs and everything in between. And look,
I would say that. I would say that with Nintendo and Xbox, PlayStation is almost all the same game.
it really is. It's just told different stories, a very similar art style. A lot of people don't like it. I dig it. That's my thing. That's why I like PlayStation.
Oh no, it looks great.
Yeah, it does. Looks phenomenal. It's there. That's like telling a movie. You're playing a movie basically. But a lot of people don't like that. And that's fine. If you don't like it, I hear you. But look, let's get out of here, folks. Let's welcome in a couple more super chats. We have Unruly Games drops an outstanding £1 super chat. Thank you for the generosity. And of course, Jax82 drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "What if at the Game Awards, Sega is talking new Sega era? And what if they announce they are getting back into the console race and Peter Moore is the CEO?" I would fall on the floor if that happened, because you did see that Peter Moore actually just put that tweet about him and the 360 and Sega. That was a random tweet. And then of course, we can't forget President Bond. She was out there for some reason tweeting about the 360 logo. Very interesting stuff, Miss Bond. I don't know what she was implying, but I can't wait to find out.
I would
But listen,
100% buy another Sega console. I would 100% buy
I
another one.
have in storage not one, not two. I have three Sega Dreamcasts. Two are American. One was actually gifted to me by Mad Atticus. He gave me a brand new one, dude. Brand new. And I have the import version as well. I have 86 plus games. I have everything. Most of my stuff is imports. And I have every SNK and Capcom game ever made on the Dreamcast.
Power
that was my
Stone.
yes, sir. Power Stone 1 and 2, which Capcom, what are you doing? Can we get a remake of these? Because yeah, I'm in it. Charge me more, Capcom. I don't care. But we'll start first with you, Fly Guy. Thank you so much for joining us, brother. It's great to have you on. We'll definitely have you back. Please, by all means, sell your brand. Tell people about your YouTube channel, what you got going on, and more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media?
All right, guys. Again, my name is Fly Guy GBG. If you want to find me on Twitter, it's or X, whatever you call it. On Twitter, it's at Real Fly Guy GBG. Because my old Twitter got anyway. But also I do have a YouTube channel. I stream on Twitch and on Kick. But my YouTube channel is something I'm trying to bring back to life, because as Griggity said earlier, I was the NBA Live guy. He used to watch my stuff, and now my channel's kind of dead. So I'm trying to revive it with this not console news, but like gaming news in general, because I love gaming. I spend a lot of my time doing that, and I also like to make fun of people. So if you let that kind of content come check me out.
Well, listen, brother. Again, All his information is going to be in the show notes. All you got to do is click it twice, once to get there, once to subscribe, and if you're feeling generous, once for the bell icon, so you know every time he goes live and puts up content. And Fly Guy, thank you so much for joining us.
One
brother.
more thing.
Yeah, sure.
I am trying to do start my own podcast similar to this, and I'm actually grateful that I met you guys, because I have friends that make content, but none of them want to do this podcast, and I need people to do a podcast with. I'm not trying to talk by myself. I'm not going to lie to you. So that is something I have in the works. I don't know when I'm going to do this yet, but it is something I plan on doing. So if you guys want to be on the show, check me out, whatever,
Yeah.
it's going to be.
We'll definitely get on your show, and we'll definitely have you back so we can help promote it as well. So when you get that rolling, you DM me, and we'll get you on. And like we have the Black Vikings joining us on the 13th. He's launching his show on the 5th, but he'll be joining us on Primetime Gaming on the 13th. And obviously that is to sell his brand. So it will obviously help sell your brand once you get ready to rock and roll. And I definitely guest on there for sure. Ultraman in the chat drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Hey, Boom and company. What's up, brother? Welcome to the program, and thank you for the generosity. Web Dave, sell the brand, brother. Talk about last night's show. You had you had representation from TSWS Gaming. You also had Dirt Griggity on there. It was a slobber knocker, as it's been called. Talk about it. Where could people check that out? And more importantly, where could people find you on social media?"
Thanks, Boom. Appreciate you having me on as always. I love being here, and it was great being back here with Fuzzy, the man himself. I love it. I love it. I love it. And but yeah, no, last night's show was off the chains, off the hook. If you get a chance to watch the replay, it's still trending pretty high right now. So the link's in the description. Click on it. It was with Sean and Dirt Griggity from TTS. And of course, they have the we bleed green as well. And so yeah, they're diehard fans of the Xbox brand, and they're not ashamed to show it. And so anyway, they're very funny, and it's awesome. So yeah, check it out. It's very happy to do that. And next week's episode is going to be a big one. Sorry, my phone's going off. We've got Randall Thor 19 coming on next weekend.
Oh, congrats, bro.
That is freaking huge. Yeah, Rand's a good guy. He's making the rounds. Rand had taken some time off from making rounds. I'm going to get him on the show at some point as well. That's a big get, brother. We're looking forward to it. But listen, again, thank you, Dave, for being here. Thank you for what you always do within the community. And of course, let's get to Fuzzy Belvedere. Brother, tell everyone for the best place of anything and everything racing. And more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media?
Just want to start off by thanking you for having me on. Always awesome being on here with you guys. It was awesome having a special guest, Fly Guy, on here as well. Love your takes on things. Greatly appreciate you being able to take the time to join us today. And yeah, it's you definitely put a light on, or a spotlight on the Xbox tax, or whether people want to call it that or not, and how the gaming media definitely is doing something fishy out there. But man, always love being on here with you, Boom and Web Dave. For those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on FSP later on tonight on Fun Speculations channel at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time later on tonight. And then look forward to seeing everybody that's here in the chat on Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Breakfast with Boom. Look forward to seeing you there. Thanks.
Well, thank you. And gentlemen, it was great to have everyone here. Big shout out to the 600 plus people that were here. If you're finding the channel for the first time, we are almost at 14K, folks, 200 and change away. And you can help us get there by subscribing. Again, hit the bell icon if you're feeling generous. And more importantly, if you can, share this out on social media. So maybe, just maybe, we can hit that 14K by the end of 2023. That would be a big deal. And of course, a big thank you to all of the super chats. The generosity is incredibly welcomed. We are appreciative of it. And of course, we're going to put it back into the community, because December 23rd, which is going to be, it's the Friday before Christmas. Christmas is the following Monday. That Friday morning's Breakfast with Boom, which I believe is going to be the 22nd, I think it is, 23rd, 24th. Yeah, so it'd be December 22nd. is our 6th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick, and we are giving away, folks, $1,500 worth of prizes. That's right. 10 $100 gift cards and 2 grand prizes. 2 people in the chat, one of which is going to be a channel member. One is going to be somebody in the chat just hanging out, celebrating the day with us, is going to walk away with a $250 gift card to your choice of platforms: Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo eShop. And we will be delivering those like Santa and Mrs. Claus to you throughout the day on that Friday, and hoping to get everything to everyone by Saturday before Christmas. And all you got to do to be involved is be in the chat, type the hashtag, which of course we will give out that day. And if you're in the chat and you do the hashtag, you win, you get your prize. If you, the first half of prizes, the first 6 are going to go to the channel members. If you are a channel member supporting Double Barrel Gaming, you get first crack. The second 6 will go to anyone in the chat that joined us that day. And we couldn't do that without the super chats and the channel memberships. And of course, folks, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig, I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special.